17 birthdays, 0 parties, and 1 rule from a dead woman. Do not touch the ring. That's the only clear instruction Hannah receives when a plain cardboard box shows up at her latest foster home on a rainy afternoon in a small American town. Inside, there's no cake, no balloons, just 12 envelopes and a velvet case that feels heavier than it looks, as if it's hiding more than metal. Each envelope is numbered, 1 to 12, 1 for every year she spent getting older without anyone singing her name. The earliest letters sound strangely warm, almost like a mother talking to a baby she never got to hold. But as the years pass on the page, the voice on the paper twists. Affection turns into apology. Secrets drip through the margins, and in the very last letter, the handwriting is shaky, desperate. One sentence stands out like a warning alarm. When they offer you the ring, do not take it. What kind of ring is so dangerous that someone begs from beyond the grave for it to stay in the box? What kind of inheritance needs a warning label? Because this isn't just jewelry. That ring is the key to a fortune, a family name burned into hotel signs across the country, and a story that was carefully buried under legal documents and public sympathy. Hannah is about to find out that her mother was not just the girl who messed up. She was the perfect scapegoat. As you watch, think about this. If you were in Hannah's place, would you respect the warning or take everything that was denied to you? Comment where you're watching from and tell what you would do. Walk away from the ring or put it on. And if you like intense family dramas, buried secrets, and orphans proving everyone wrong, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Now, let's follow Hannah, the girl who was never supposed to wear that ring. The day Hannah turned 17, the house is quiet. No one forgets on purpose. They just don't remember. In the rotating world of foster homes, birthdays are just dates on a file. Her social worker is late. Her foster siblings are busy fighting over the TV remote. The only thing that arrives on time is the mail. Among school flyers and bills, there's a box with her name written in a careful hand. No return address, just a law firm sticker from another state. The foster mother shrugs and leaves it on the kitchen table. Hannah hesitates before touching it. She's used to mistakes. Wrong names, wrong files, things that belong to another kid. But this time the name is right. Her name. Inside, there is no bubble wrap or explanation. Only 12 white envelopes, lined up like a small paper staircase, numbered 1 to 12 in dark ink. Under them, wrapped in velvet, something small and hard. She doesn't open the velvet case yet. The envelopes feel safer. She picks up the one marked 1 and notices the date in the corner. It matches the year she turned 6, the year she entered the system for good. The first letter is simple, almost tender. The writer calls her "my little star" and describes a baby with impossibly dark eyes, a baby who hated being put down, a baby who clung to her mother's shirt until her fingers turned red. Hannah slows down. No one knows these details. The files don't mention the way she chewed on the satin edge of a blanket or the lullaby about rain on the window. But this person does. Letter after letter, the writer tracks milestones no one ever celebrated with her. The year she lost her first tooth, the year she supposedly refused to speak to any adult for months, the year her social worker moved her across state lines. Hannah reads, standing in the kitchen, while the TV blares in another room. With each page, she feels something unfamiliar, a mix of comfort and intrusion. Someone has been watching her life from the shadows. She reaches envelope 5 before the foster mother calls her to set the table. Hannah tucks the remaining letters back in the box and slides it under her bed. All afternoon, the box feels like a heartbeat beneath her floor, pulsing with questions. Who wrote to her every year and never sent the letters? Until now. Why 12? And what is the velvet case really holding? That night, when the house finally falls silent, she pulls the box out again. She lies on her stomach, the letters spread around her like a paper galaxy. The voice on the page feels older in each new envelope, more aware, more tired. But all of it is moving in one direction, toward the thing she still hasn't touched, the ring. The shift happens around letter 7. Until then, the tone is soft, almost like a diary written for a child who might read it someday. But in 7, words start to warp. The writer talks about the night at the lake house and the fire, without details, as if afraid the ink itself might be dangerous. There's a sentence about accusations that should never have reached you, and a line that makes Hannah sit up straight. I tried to protect you. I tried to choose the lesser ruin. She has no clear memory of a lake house, only flashes, sirens, smoke, a pair of hands pushing her into someone's arms. Everything after that is made of forms and interviews. Adults whispering just out of reach. The letters feel like someone pressing rewind on a tape she was never allowed to watch. By letter 9, the writer finally signs a name, Evelyn Hale. Tiny, careful letters, as if even the signature might break something. The name means nothing to Hannah, but combined with certain phrases, the board, the company, shareholders, it sounds a lot like money, a lot like the kind of people who put their names on buildings instead of birthday cards. Letter 10 mentions a ring for the first time. They will tell you it is a symbol of legacy, Evelyn writes. They will put family pride and duty and gratitude in the same box, and they will hope you never ask who packed it. The ring, she says, was once evidence, then conveniently it was not. No explanation, just that. Evidence, and then a symbol. Letter 11 feels like someone trying to outrun time. Evelyn's sentences are shorter, pushed by urgency. She references a tragedy officially called an accident, hints at meetings behind closed doors, and admits she agreed to a story she knew wasn't complete. There's a promise. I will leave a door open for you, even if I do not deserve to. And a practical note. A law firm in another state, instructed to deliver everything when Hannah turns 17. Finally, letter 12. The paper is slightly crooked, as if the writer's hand trembled. No soft nicknames now, no small talk about school photos or favorite colors. It goes straight to a single warning. When they offer you the ring, do not take it. The phrase is underlined, then repeated once more, smaller, on the bottom corner of the page. That's when Hannah lifts the velvet case. Her heart is pounding loud enough she's sure someone in the next room can hear. Inside, the ring gleams in the dim light. Heavy gold, a crest carved in the center, a symbol she doesn't recognize, but instinctively dislikes. It doesn't look cursed. It looks expensive, important. Tucked beneath the velvet is a business card from the law firm. On the back, in the same shaky handwriting, if you want answers, call. They will know your name. For the first time, Hannah realizes this isn't just a stranger pouring out guilt. This is an invitation, a summons from a world that has always ignored her, a world that suddenly seems to have been watching her from day one. There is nothing glamorous about the bus ride that takes Hannah out of her small town and into the city where the law firm waits. The seats are torn. The air smells like burnt coffee and cheap snacks. But the business card in her pocket might as well be a golden ticket. It's the first time she has traveled for something that belongs only to her. The building that houses the firm is all clean glass and chrome, reflecting a sky she's never felt part of. Inside, everything is beige and quiet. Receptionists type without looking up. When Hannah says her name, though, someone actually pauses. A call is made. A door opens, and a man in a tailored suit appears, smiling like he's been practicing for this moment. He introduces himself as Daniel Mercer, executor of a trust created by Evelyn Hale. He leads Hannah into a conference room with a long table and city views. On the table lies a thick folder, a digital tablet, and a small black box much like the velvet case she already opened at home. The Hale crest is printed on the folder. Now she's seen it in two places, on the ring and on the paper laying out her future. Daniel explains it plainly. Evelyn Hale was the matriarch of the Hale family, owners of a powerful hotel chain that stretches from airport terminals to seaside resorts. Their logo is everywhere. Hannah just never cared enough to connect it. Years ago, a terrible incident at a private property shook the family. An official investigation named a single person responsible, Hannah's mother. She went into the system's darkest corner, and within months, Hannah was in foster care for good. As Daniel talks, Hannah notices how carefully he chooses his words. He doesn't say crime. He calls it a preventable loss. He doesn't say guilty. He says, the case closed with your mother at the center, The ring, he tells her, was logged as part of the evidence, then returned, then reclassified as a family heirloom. Evelyn took it back and never wore it again. Now, in her will, Evelyn designates Hannah as her sole heir. Not just to money, but to voting power in the company. The condition is simple on paper and suffocating in reality. If Hannah accepts the ring and signs the attached documents, she agrees not to pursue any legal action to reopen the case surrounding her mother. She also agrees not to publicly dispute the official version of what happened at the lake house. The ring sits between them, shining under the boardroom lights. Hannah realizes it's more than metal. It's a muzzle, a contract disguised as jewelry. Daniel points to the signature lines with a polite smile. He says she can take time to think. Their offer is generous, he reminds her. Enough money to erase the fear of rent, jobs, healthcare. Enough status to never be dismissed as just another foster kid again. But there's something he doesn't know. Hannah has 12 letters in her backpack. Letters that call this comfort a lesser ruin. Letters that insist she should reject the very thing every other person in this city would fight to keep. For the first time in her life, she has more than one path, and every one of them comes with a price. Back in her small room, the letters look different. They're no longer just emotional confessions. They're evidence. Hannah spreads them out across the bed, the bus ticket still in her pocket, the hotel logo still flickering in her mind from every billboard she passed. She starts to notice patterns. In letter 3, the first sentence begins with a strange string of words that, when lined up across several years, spell out a date. In letter 6, the writer casually mentions a painting in a guest house that Hannah knows from a quick internet search hangs in a private suite at a particular Hale hotel. Letters 8 and 9 repeat phrases about rooms no one books and wing sea in a way that feels too precise to be poetic. Hannah builds columns on notebook paper, copying the first words of each paragraph, underlining repeated phrases, circling odd capital letters that don't belong. Slowly, a second message surfaces underneath the guilt and nostalgia. Evelyn didn't just write to unburden herself. She wrote to hide directions in plain sight. One fragment leads Hannah to an old storage unit listed under a shell company name that appears briefly in a letter. Renting the unit out for a day drains what little money she has, but behind the metal door she finds dusty boxes that once sat in someone's study. Among invoices and family photos, there's a tiny voice recorder wrapped in a silk scarf. On it, Evelyn's voice sounds older than on the page, trembling but clear. She speaks of lawyers pushing her toward a narrative that would put everything to rest. She talks about a board that panicked more about headlines than about truth. She confesses to choosing the story that would hurt the fewest people, while knowing it would destroy one person completely, Hannah's mother. The recorder cuts out before she says exactly what happened at the lake house. Whether she was in the room or just heard about it later remains unclear. Another clue in the letters points to a second law firm, one that handled private agreements not found in the public file. There, Hannah uncovers drafts of a very different will, a version where Evelyn wanted to publicly clear her daughter's name, even if it shattered the company. That draft is marked up in red, comments from other lawyers warning about brand damage, lawsuits, shareholder revolt. The final version, the one sitting in Daniel's conference room, is a compromise built on fear. The more Hannah pieces together, the more she understands what the ring truly is. Not a gift, but the last move in a long, quiet war inside a powerful family. Evelyn couldn't bring herself to blow everything up while she was alive, so she built a puzzle and left it to the one person whose life was already in ruins. Hannah realizes she is standing at the center of a three-way collision: truth, revenge, and survival. If she takes the ring, she may gain enough power to fight back from the inside. If she refuses it, she might protect herself from the Hale machine, but the official story will stay unchanged. Either way, the letters won't let her pretend she doesn't know what really matters. For the first time, she understands why a dying woman wrote, "Do not take the ring," and still built an entire path that only opens if Hannah does exactly that. The first time Hannah walks into a Hale family gathering, she doesn't feel like an heir. She feels like a trespasser. The event is held in a luxury hotel ballroom, crystal chandeliers reflecting in immaculate floors. Staff members move silently. Music hums under the low murmur of wealthy people who think the world ends where their last hotel stands. When she enters, conversations don't stop. They just shift. Eyes flick briefly to her, then to the ring she still hasn't placed on her finger. She's wearing borrowed clothes that almost fit, courtesy of a social worker who doesn't know she's about to sit in a room with multimillionaires. At the front, a portrait of Evelyn watches over the room, her expression soft and distant. Beside it, a presentation about the company's next expansion. There are slides about growth, markets, and legacy. No slide about the daughter who disappeared into the system. No slide about the child left behind. Hannah is introduced as our late matriarch's granddaughter. No one says, the one we left in foster care while we ran board meetings. Some relatives smile too widely. Others don't bother to hide their irritation. To them, she's a variable, a risk. A girl from nowhere suddenly holding a legal claim to everything. One uncle, sharply dressed, eyes like cold glass, pulls her aside. He talks quickly, his tone friendly but controlled. He explains how hard everyone has worked to maintain the family's reputation after that tragic chapter. He says the company provides jobs to thousands of people, funds charities, keeps communities alive. One person's mistake, he insists, cannot be allowed to drown all of that. He doesn't call her mother by name. He never says what exactly he thinks she did. He doesn't have to. The message is clear. If Hannah takes the ring and agrees to the conditions, she will be welcomed. She will be one of them, at least on paper. If she refuses, the family will survive without her. She will go back to the same life as before. Only now she will know exactly how calculated her absence has always been. Another relative, an aunt with tired eyes and a drink that never leaves her hand, avoids the main crowd and speaks to Hannah in a corner. Her voice is low, almost apologetic. She tells Hannah she remembers holding her once, back when things were still chaotic and raw. She admits she wanted to visit the girl over the years, but was told it would complicate everything. Evelyn loved you, the aunt says, staring at the floor. But she loved the company too. She thought she could have both. In that moment, Hannah sees the pattern clearly. This family is built on choosing the safer story over the honest one, again and again. They call it sacrifice. They call it duty. But for her, it always meant being the piece swept off the board. The meeting ends with a formal invitation. Tomorrow, at the law firm, in that beige conference room, the will reading will continue. The ring will be offered officially. Cameras will be absent, but eyes will be everywhere. Hannah is expected to decide whether she will be Hannah Hale in front of them all. Walking back to her modest hotel room, not one of the Hale chain, deliberately, she feels something strange, not just anger, not just hurt, a sharp, strategic clarity. The letters didn't just give her pain. They handed her information no one else has. Who in this family hesitated, who pushed, who looked away? They think she's an outsider, but they've forgotten what outsiders learn: how to watch, how to adapt, how to play a game rigged against them. Tomorrow, when the ring appears under the boardroom lights, Hannah knows she will not be walking in as a lost girl. She will be walking in as the only person in that room who has nothing left to lose. The next morning, the conference room feels different. The same table, the same skyline beyond the glass, the same polished silence. But this time, more chairs are filled. Board members, certain relatives, a couple of high-level executives, all here to witness the moment the Hale legacy transfers to a girl who grew up counting eviction notices instead of dividends. The will is read in legal language that makes human choices sound mechanical. Percentages, trusts, foundations, tax efficiencies. And then Daniel reaches the section everyone is waiting for, the appointment of Hannah as heir, conditional upon her acceptance of the ring and her agreement not to challenge the official record of the lake house incident. The ring rests in a small dish, the Hale crest catching the light. Hannah feels every eye in the room on her, weighing her, measuring how dangerous she might become. She remembers Evelyn's underlined warning, "Do not take the ring." She also remembers the recorder, the alternate will, the red comments about brand damage. The woman in the portrait tried to have it both ways. Hannah can't. She steps forward. For a heartbeat, her hand hovers over the ring. This is the moment where, according to the letters, she is supposed to walk away. Instead, she does something no one predicted. Not Evelyn, not the board, not the relatives with their tight smiles. She slides the ring onto her finger. Her gasps are small and quickly suppressed. Daniel nods, almost relieved. Papers are placed in front of her. The non-disclosure clauses, the promise not to reopen the case, the commitment to maintain the company's version of history. Hannah reads every line carefully, as if the ink might bite. Then she signs. On the surface, it looks like surrender, like a poor girl choosing comfort over justice, trading her mother's name for a future without financial fear. The room relaxes. A couple of board members even clap quietly. The uncle with the cold eyes gives a satisfied nod. The machine believes it has pulled another person into its orbit. But Hannah's mind is elsewhere. She knows something these people don't. As majority heir, with voting power and control over certain corporate decisions, she can later instruct the company to release documents, waive some legal privileges, and change policy. The very contract they think will silence her also gives her the authority to re-aim the spotlight, if she can survive long enough to use it. In the days that follow, she is ushered into orientation meetings, PR coaching sessions, tours of properties. She shakes hands with managers who have no idea their new figurehead once slept in shelters. She learns the business language of occupancy rates and brand partnerships. She meets a young in-house lawyer named Maya, who seems more uncomfortable with the old case than she's allowed to admit. Late at night, in her new apartment, paid for by a trust that carries her name, Hannah studies company bylaws, confidentiality policies, and clauses that can be changed by board vote. She doesn't read them like a student. She reads them like someone planning a controlled demolition. The ring feels heavy on her finger. Sometimes she stares at it and feels sick. Other times she looks at its crest and thinks of a different meaning. Not a family she's proud to join, but a system she intends to rewrite from the inside. For now, everyone believes they have bought her silence. What they actually purchased is time. The exact thing she needs to choose how to tell the story Evelyn was too afraid to tell herself. The first real fracture appears during a strategy meeting about reputation management. The old Lake House case still lurks online in forum threads and true crime blogs, even if the official story is neatly closed. PR experts show slides about search results and suggest ways to push newer content to bury the past. Hannah listens, quiet, while they discuss her mother like a stubborn stain on an otherwise white shirt. She asks a simple question. What if the past isn't accurate? The room goes still. A PR director laughs awkwardly, assuming she's speaking hypothetically. A lawyer quickly insists that multiple inquiries confirmed the outcome. The discussion moves on, but Hannah sees the flash of fear in their eyes. This is the one topic that can turn any glass wall into paper. That night, she meets Maya, the young in-house lawyer, in a quiet corner of a nearly empty hotel lobby. Not one open to the public yet, but a soon-to-be flagship property. Hannah lays out what she found: the alternate will drafts, the recorder, the coded letters. She doesn't accuse, she doesn't shout. She simply sets the puzzle on the table and asks Maya, as a lawyer and as a person, what she sees. Maya's hands tremble slightly as she scrolls through scanned documents on Hannah's tablet. She confirms that some of these drafts were never supposed to leave off-site storage. She admits that certain clauses in the current will could technically be interpreted in a way that allows the company to disclose more than anyone expected, if the majority heir insists. From that point, everything moves quickly. Quietly, Hannah uses her position to schedule a company announcement event in the grand lobby of one of the oldest Hale hotels, the one with the most history, the one that appears in all the promotional material about tradition and trust. Officially, the event is about renewed values and transparency. Internally, only a handful of people know she intends to say more than what's on the approved script. Board members assume it's a branding opportunity. They agree to cameras. They agree to a live stream. They believe they are getting a young, fresh face talking about innovation. What they get is an heir who has decided she'd rather burn her own comfort than live inside someone else's lie. When the day comes, Hannah steps up to the microphone wearing a simple black outfit and the hail ring. She begins with safe phrases about gratitude and legacy, the kind everyone expects. Faces relax, phones come out to record. Then she lifts a stack of printed letters. Evelyn's letters, the ones no one thought would ever be read out loud. She doesn't reveal every detail. There are still legal lines she refuses to cross without care. But she reads enough. Enough for the world to hear that the old story was chosen, not discovered. Enough to show that doubt existed at the highest levels and was ignored. Enough to demand that law enforcement reopen the case with full access to the documents the company has quietly stored for years. Hannah announces that, as the controlling heir, she is instructing the company to waive certain confidentiality provisions and hand over internal materials. She doesn't ask the board's permission. She tells them, on camera, that this is the cost of carrying the Hale name under her watch. The lobby plunges into chaos. Executives whisper furiously. Lawyers rush toward the stage. But the live stream is already out. The story is no longer theirs to edit. Hours later, when the building finally empties, Hannah walks alone through a side corridor to the lost and found desk, a small, easily overlooked counter near the service elevators. She slips the Hale ring off her finger. For a moment, the metal feels colder than the marble beneath her feet. Then she sets it on the counter with no note, no explanation. Someone will log it as a misplaced item tomorrow. But Hannah knows the truth. She didn't lose the ring. She refused to let it define her. She walks out of the hotel as just Hannah, again. Not Hale, not heir, not symbol. Just a girl who chose a future that isn't clean or easy, but finally, undeniably hers. A girl who grew up blowing out invisible candles receives 12 letters and one forbidden ring. A dying matriarch hides apologies inside codes, using guilt as ink and fear as punctuation. A powerful family builds its future on a carefully arranged version of the past. All of this leads to a single moment, an orphan stepping up to a microphone and refusing to repeat the story she was handed. Hannah's journey is not about a simple victory. She doesn't walk away with a spotless legacy or a perfectly healed family. She chooses something far messier, a truth that might shatter a company, and a future that offers no script. She takes the ring, uses the power it gives her, then abandons the symbol once it has served its purpose. The empire survives, but it will never again be able to claim ignorance. Along the way, we see how a name can be both shield and weapon. The Hale crest opens doors that were always closed to Hannah. Boardrooms, documents, legal tools. But those same doors were used for years to lock away what really happened. By stepping into the role everyone expected her to play and then turning the spotlight the wrong way, she exposes the quiet calculations behind every official version of events. Now, think about the question at the heart of this story. If your entire life had been defined by someone else's lie, would you cling to comfort once you finally had it, or risk everything to rewrite the narrative? There's no easy answer, and that's exactly why Hannah's choice lingers. Her ending isn't neat. It's not charitable branding or a perfect redemption arc. It's a girl walking out of a hotel without a ring, carrying only the knowledge that she refused to be the final link in a chain of silence. If this story made you feel something, anger, empathy, unease, tell it in the comments. Would you have taken the ring and stayed quiet, or done what Hannah did? Share where you're watching from and what part of her journey hit you the hardest. And if you want more intense, emotional stories about orphans, families, and the secrets they'd rather keep buried, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are many more hidden legacies to uncover.